celebrating the anniversary of Crimea joining Russia. The president of the US, Joe Biden, spoke with the president of China. Russia is looking forward to ban YouTube. Moscow Stock Exchange will finally be operational next week. Western shipments of weapons to Ukraine are now also legitimate military targets. What's up, investors? It's the Russian Dude, and this is your 20th day update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Some McDonald's in Moscow, Russia are still operational. More than 300 items and technologies from Japan are now prohibited to be exported in Russia. Iran said that it will support Russia against Western sanctions. The monetary base in Russia, which is basically the combination of cash on hand and bank reserves, has skyrocketed. The Institute of International Finance predicted that Russian GDP will decline by 15% this year because of intervention of Ukraine. Russia is looking forward to ban YouTube as soon as possible. New Apple products presented earlier this week will not be sold in Russia. There was a concert in Moscow this Friday, March 18th, celebrating the anniversary of Crimea joining Russia. And one of the guest speakers was Vladimir Putin, who explained the significance of Crimea joining Russia. Besides that, he also justified current military operation on Ukraine. He basically said that there was a genocide in Lugansk and Donetsk for 8 years, and the main goal of Russia is to prevent this from happening. And if you want to continue receiving such daily updates, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, feel free to share this video with your friends or anywhere else you want. Thanks so much, and let's continue. The S&P has decreased the credit rating of Russia to CC, which is the third lowest rating possible, with only C and D lower. The Central Bank of Russia announced that Moscow Stock Exchange will finally be operational next week. But first, March 21st, only treasuries and government bonds will be traded. This is done in order to smooth out the volatility and irrational decisions as much as possible. Later on, it is expected that the stocks with the highest liquidity will also be added to the trading list. And if this goes well, the shares of the rest of the companies will be accessible as well. The European Union might lose as much as 500 billion euros if it stops its economic relations with Russia. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, says that Western shipments of weapons to Ukraine are now also legitimate military targets. The President of Russia, Vladimir Putin, signed an order under which you can no longer invest in international companies from Russia. But this does not include buying shares of publicly traded companies. This only involves direct investment in the company's capital. The number of barrels in US strategic petroleum reserve goes down. This petroleum reserve was originally created to help Americans overcome natural disasters. But recently, millions of barrels were released from this petroleum reserve in an attempt to decrease gas prices. A person in Russia spat on this sign, and now he is facing $500 administrative charge. The president of Ukraine, Vladimir Zelensky, was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. After the announcement that YouTube might be banned in Russia, RuTube, which is the current of YouTube, increased its traffic by 21 times. Here you can see the share of Russian exports of commodities that go to different countries. As for now, Russia was able to avoid default. Of course, there are more payments in the future, but Russia was able to make its payments this Friday. Because of this, the price of credit default swaps on Russia has decreased dramatically, which basically means if the price of credit default swaps goes down, it means that more investors thinking that the default will not happen. The representative of Chinese government, Li Jianzhao, mocked Western governments by saying that this is the international community you always hear about, which, as you can see, does not include Russia, most of Asian countries, Latin America, and neither Africa. Kazakhstan will start accepting Russian rubles in its international trades with Russia and Belarus. Earlier this Friday, the president of the US, Joe Biden, spoke with the president of China, Xi Jinping. And these are the main points that they were discussing. First of all, the US and NATO must start its negotiations and talks with Russia. Second, Western sanctions that are placed upon Russia are also hurting regular people, and not just in Russia. And third, Joe Biden said that the US hopes to remove all of these sanctions as soon as Russia leaves Ukraine. Civilians in Ukraine who are just driving on the road were allegedly targeted by Russian army. The president of the European Parliament, Roberta Metsola, said that as of today, diplomatic and government staff of Russia and Belarus are banned from entering the premises of the European Parliament. People who participated in Friday's concert celebrating the anniversary of Crimea joining Russia were strongly advised to bring Russian flags, Russian symbols and Z markings. In response to Apple Pay and Samsung Pay probably leaving Russian market, Gazprom, which is one of the biggest companies in Russia, introduced Gazprom Pay. The residents of Kharkov, Ukraine started to clean up their city. The mice that were planted by the Ukrainian army on the beaches of Odessa, Ukraine, are now being washed off to the Black Sea. And so here is the warning to all the ships to be extra careful in this region. The Central Bank of Russia decided to keep its 20% interest rate. The Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, said that it is unacceptable that regular Russian people are being discriminated. He said that this military operation is on Putin's hands, and he is the only one who must be held responsible. Earlier this week, one political party in Russia proposed to return death sentences, and the representatives of Russian Orthodox Church said that they are strongly against this. Steam disabled payments on the territory of Belarus, Russia and Ukraine. China is against the US sending weapons to Ukraine, because they say that as long as US continues to supply Ukraine with weapons, this war will never be over. Paramount Pictures said that they will stop doing business on the territory of Russia. They also acknowledged that they will send $1 million worth of humanitarian support to Ukraine. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Dmitry Kuleba, said that President Zelensky is ready to meet with Putin whenever he is ready, even tomorrow. Consulate General of Russia in Prague, Czech Republic, was damaged with red paint. The representatives of United Nations say that there is a big progress in talks between Russia and Ukraine about humanitarian corridors. This is the way the TV schedule in Russia changed in the last couple of weeks. Everything that you see on the left in orange markings were entertainment programs, but later they were removed to give more time to news and propagandistic TV shows. Another batch of satellite internet Starlink sent by Elon Musk has arrived in Ukraine. It is reported that some Lithuanians are gifting their old cars to the needs of the Ukrainian army. Thank you so much for your attention, stay safe and see you next time.